Yo, what up world? 502 King Paul coming to you out with another video, man. So in this video, I want to speak on the topic of manhood. Manhood. Because there are a lot of misconceptions, especially with all of social media and some of the content that I see out on YouTube about what exactly a man is. And in this video, I want to speak directly to the men, but also for the sisters watching this video, I want you to be able to get something from this as well, because a lot of sisters I know get caught up and lose a lot of years in their life dealing with boys and entertaining boys because they perceive them to be a man. Because there are so many misconceptions on what exactly a man is. So I'm going to break some of this down, and I pray that it touches your life in a positive way. I pray that it breaks down strongholds, that it clears your mind and your perception exactly on what a man is. If you see me look down, I do have some notes here that I'm going to be going over, because this message really hit me last night, and I just kept on writing down notes on different things that I wanted to speak on. So once again, I pray that this video is positive for you, that it's eye-opening for you, that you receive revelation through this message. So growing up, man, I remember when I turned 18 years old, I started to perceive myself to be a man. It was my first time leaving the house. I went out of town and, I started going to college out of town. I was living by myself. First I was living in a dorm, and then I would go on to live off campus by myself. And I thought because I was living by myself, taking care of myself somewhat, because my parents did help out in that situation, and because I was getting all these women and starting to be more free in life, I considered myself to be a man. That was at the age of 18. I'm now 30 years old, and I'm just now starting to realize that even at 30 years old, I was still operating in parts of my life as a boy. See, we often talk about daddy issues when it comes to women, but we don't speak on daddy issues when it comes to men. Now, for some men, this is going to look different. Some men, daddy issues are going to show up in the way of an absent father. But for other men, daddy issues shows up in a way of looking up to a man who either didn't know, didn't model it well, or didn't communicate well what exactly a man was. So we go into life, we go in through our early stages of manhood, and we have one idea of what a man is, when in all actuality it's something completely different. A man is not the amount of money that you have. A man is not how broad your shoulders or how big your muscles are. A man is not how many women you can sleep with. Although these were some of the things that I personally was taught being raised up. And not all of that came from my father. Some of these examples came from other men in my life, older men in my life. See, a mistake that a lot of young men make is we look up to other males, I would say, just because they're older. Just because they're older. You always look up to your big cousins. You look up to your uncles. You look up to the older men in your life. It may be older male friends that you have. And because they're older, you assume that these people are men. But that's the furthest thing from the truth. I've had men tell me that, you should sleep with as many women as possible. Multiple men in my life tell me you should sleep with as many women as possible while you're young. Little did I know that this was some of the worst advice that I would ever receive in my life. Probably the worst advice, period, that I've ever received in my life. Because the measure of a man is not based on how many women you can get in the bedroom. It's truly not. But I wouldn't realize this until later on. What I was truly doing was putting myself at a disadvantage. I was holding myself back through my actions. I was holding myself back by operating out of my flesh and not operating out of my spirit. So being a man is actually the opposite of all the things I just named. It's not about your money. It's not how many women you sleep with. It's not about your popularity even. See, some men think that if they're accepted by boys, then that makes you a man. A man will not find comfort in hanging with boys. It's actually the complete opposite. See, when you're a man and then you hang around little boys, people who operate out of a boyish mindset, you're going to feel very uncomfortable because these guys are going to be talking about things and doing things that you know contradicts what a man is. See, when you hang around certain company, you become the company that you keep in life. A man keeps good counsel around him in his life. You're not going to be hanging around fellas that are, just solely sitting around smoking weed, drinking, talking about the things that they would like to do but never start up doing. Men have a vision and they have direction in their life. They have a vision and they have direction. And often we think that that vision comes from us. But your vision is a part of your calling that God gives you. It's not about what you think that you should be doing. It's about what God calls you to do. See, a boy just thinks about, I like to do this, so I'm going to do that. Sex feels good, so I'm going to do that. But a man doesn't operate that way. A man operates from a place of discipline. And discipline is something that is a key trait of a man. And I didn't really realize until later on in life that I was not operating out of a place of discipline. See, I thought because I had a good job, had some money in my pocket, had a nice car, that's what made me a man. Because I had no problem getting women, that's what made me a man. But getting older, and like I said, I'm really just starting to figure this out more at the age of 30, that discipline is the key to being a man. You have to discipline your mind. You have to discipline yourself to be able to filter out the things that are coming into your life. And this may be the music that you listen to, the things that you watch, the people that you hang out with, what you take in on social media even. All of this has a profound effect on our minds and our spirits that we truly do not realize. A man has the discipline to regulate the things that are taken into his mind, and he makes an effort to make sure that he is pouring in the right things. A man also disciplines his body. A man does not sleep around with a bunch of different women because a man understands that you are not able to recognize your full potential when you have a stronghold of sex in your life. Again, this is something that I struggled with personally for a very long time in my life. There were a lot of situations I got myself into solely because I'm thinking about sex. I'm thinking about, man, that sister's fine. She's fine. I'm trying to see what that's like. And I'm just being honest with y'all. You see a woman with the nice curves, a pretty face, and a boy, when he sees this, the first thing that he's thinking about is, how quickly can I get her to that bedroom? How quickly can I show her that I'm skilled? How quickly can I show her that I'm blessed? And isn't that ironic that that's the term that a lot of men use for being well endowed with the extension that they have of their body and their pants? I'm blessed. How ignorant is that of us to think that that is a blessing? See, when you understand what sex truly is, you start to understand that you have to discipline yourself in that place in life because it is extremely powerful. Sex is very powerful, man. Go back and watch any of my videos on soul ties, relationships, and, this stuff didn't just come from nowhere. This is a consequence. The content that I put out is a consequence of the mistakes that I made in life. Me being weak in life. Me holding on to women situations that I knew was going nowhere solely because of sex. A man has to be disciplined not only in his mind but in his body. Next, a man has to be disciplined within his spirit. Within his spirit, you have to learn to listen to the voice of God when you hear it. And that requires a lot of work, man. It truly does. You have to learn to, number one, create a relationship. Create a relationship with God. And allow him to lead your life. See, a lot of times, man, boys end up in horrible situations in their life because they're allowing themselves to make all the decisions. Not running anything past God. We think that we know what's best for us. But it's the farthest thing from the truth. A man is at the core of who you are. A man's at the core of who you are. See, a man, once you truly understand what a man is, you realize it's not something that can just be stripped away from you. See, the truth is some men, they lose their mind. Some men even go as far as to commit suicide, taking their own life, because they place their value in how much money they have, what their career is. And when those things are stripped away from you, you feel less of a man. And that's because you're not truly understanding what a man is. A man is your values, how you operate in life. See, a true man knows that you can be up today and down tomorrow. So your cars, your money, your house, all that stuff does not make you a man. When you start to look at the material items around you and equating that to being a man, when those things are taken away from you, you will feel less than a man. But this is something, once again, I did not learn until much later on in life. I didn't learn that. I thought that, hey man, I'm balling. That's what makes me a man. That's what makes me a man. People will not value me unless I have A, B, C, and D. That was the mentality that I worked out of for a long time in my life. Living in a boyish mindset. Having a childish mindset. I put out a video a few years ago and I'm talking about, a childish mindset. When you're a child, you see things in a different way. You talk a different way. You walk another way. You live a completely different way. And when you become a man, you start to put all that stuff behind you because you realize that that is not what makes a man. So many men grow up listening to the wrong type of information in their life. They're operating out of a place of misinformation. That's why you have so many YouTube channels that will talk about, what it is to be a man and how you have to have 6 figures, how you have to have this and that. But a true man, that's not where his value lies. His value lies in his purpose. His value lies in his vision that he has for his life. See, what's truly attractive, and I didn't learn this until, like I said, very recently in life, what's truly attractive is to have a purpose in your life that you are actively moving towards, to be following your calling in life. That's the reason why a lot of men have problems with women, submitting to them, falling underneath them in the order, the divine order, because they're thinking that they have to have all this other stuff. They got all this stuff and no vision, all this stuff and no purpose, all this stuff, yet they're not moving towards any kind of calling in their life. It takes much more to be a man than to have a big wallet, to have good credit. See, a man is a man no matter what. Like I said, people have a lot of ups and downs in life. So you can find a man sometimes in a lower position. Does it mean that someone is not a man because he doesn't have the best job? Sometimes we're going through stages in life. We're going through times in life where we're growing. We're going through times in life when we're being chastised by God. And if you believe that because you're going through a rough time in life, that you're not a man, because the job that you have now is not as good as the job that you had before, because you used to have money, that you're no longer a man, then you're truly not a man. You still live in a boyish, childish mindset. There's an old show that I love, man. And I gotta reference this in this video. I love this show. I've watched every episode over and over again. I could tell you every episode, almost every line from the episode. And that show is The Martin Show. Yes, The Martin Show. And on The Martin Show, even in the theme song, he says, I'm the man. I'm the man. I'm a man. He says this all through all of the seasons. He says this over and over again. I'm the man. I'm a man. I'm a man. He goes through all these different situations where he's tempted by other women, situations where he loses his job, situations where he loses his house, situations. And he says, I'm the man. I'm the man. But when it gets towards the end of the series, there's a point where Martin loses his job. And he feels less than a man. So he makes this video for his girlfriend at the time, his fiance, and he leaves home and goes off and joins this cult-like group in an attempt to find himself as a man, because he doesn't feel like he's enough. Well, his fiance watches the video and she misses him. And she cries and she sits around, because in her mind, that's not what made him a man. Now, eventually he comes back. They get back together. They go on to get married. But you see a clear evolution in his behavior. What it was he was doing, how it was he was moving. Before he left and after he came back. Because he started to realize truly what a man was. And you see his behavior change a lot during the show. So, again, I say this to say, being a man may not be what you think that it is. Don't get caught up in all this stuff that you see on social media. Don't get caught up in all this stuff that you see on YouTube. Because a lot of these people in the so-called manosphere are leading you astray. They're telling you that you got to have this, you got to have that, you got to have this. But one thing, and I have watched some of this content, but one thing that I agree with is that a man has purpose. That a man has purpose, and that a man should not be relying on a woman to fulfill his purpose. You have to be whole within yourself. Being a man is not how many notches you can put on your belt, how many women you can get in the bedroom. Being a man is understanding who you are, loving who you are, and then attracting the people to your life who are a good fit for you. I truly believe that God sends the right people into your life when you're doing the right thing. That's why you have men in their 40s, 50s, 60s. Boys, I should say, grown boys, that still do not understand what a man is. Tell y'all a quick story, man. When I went to school down in Lexington, UK, I was at a party. This is a college party. It's at a club, but it's a college party. And there were some men clearly in their 60s, dressed to the nines, suits, hats, dress shoes, whole nine. Keep in mind, every woman in this party is 18, 19, 20. These males, grown boys, still had not understood what it is to be a man. Because a grown man is not out on a hunt looking for women. A grown man is chasing after God and his purpose. So hopefully this video helps y'all out some, man. I truly hope that it blesses you. And I truly hope that it, opens up your eyes and gave revelation to what it is to truly be a man. And for the women watching this video, I pray that you take some of these signs and really internalize this. Because some of y'all are dealing with boys that are not men. They look like men, they're big like men, they're muscular, they smell good, they got everything going on career-wise, but still operating out of a boyish mindset. And when you, as a woman, put yourself with these kinds of men, you're going to find yourself in heartbreak. Because only a man can take care of a woman. And yes, a boy can entertain you, but ultimately he's just going to break you. Hey, it's 502 King Paul, man. If y'all got anything from this video that benefited y'all, something positive that you can take and move forward with in life, take a moment, go down below and like the video. Helps out the algorithm to get this out to as many men and women as possible. Also, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. What qualifies a man? If there's anything that I left off of my list, what qualifies you to be a man? And and just be respectful, but I like to see some of the sisters comment as well. What qualifies someone to be a man or the man in your life? I love y'all and I hope y'all have a blessed day. It's 502 King Paul. I'm out.